Today I'm talking about Zebra Mildliner brush pens. So these are a brush pen I've heard about for a few years, but I haven't tried them because I've really cut back on the number of pens that I buy and stationery in general because I have quite a lot of it, and although I love it, I need to be practical in terms of what I can actually use in a certain time frame. But I was in TK Maxx and I seen these were reduced from £23 to £10, so I thought it was a good opportunity to try them. And I can always use the justification that I'll do a review video to be able to try these out. Now, although it says that they were RRP £23, and that may be the case, when I looked on Amazon, it seemed like they were around the £15 mark. So I wouldn't really take that as a genuine price, the £23. You could probably get these for around 15, even when they're not on offer. So for the £15, you get 10 brush pens included. And I actually did try one of these brush pens in my Japan video, where I purchased different types of pens and I was able to buy one individually, and I tried that out. And when I did try that out, I remember being quite surprised by how the brush pen felt. So I'll show you now. So let me grab a piece of paper and let me grab a pen. So in terms of how these feel, they actually, oh, that's squeaky. They actually feel quite firm, whereas when I'd heard about them, I assumed that they would be a flexible tip. And they have a bit of a squeak to them, which isn't my favourite thing. You know, when people scrape chalk on a chalkboard and it gives you goosebumps, that's what this noise kind of gives me. I'm not a fan. But you can see I'm writing pretty comfortably with it. So in terms of how they feel, I would say they feel fairly comfortable to use, except for the squeaking. And these would probably be suitable for a beginner that wants to try using a slightly larger brush pen. As you can see from the tip, it's kind of a large felt tip. And yeah, you would think it would be flexible, kind of looking at it, but it's quite firm. Let me try to use these to create some basic strokes. Yeah, so they're nice and comfortable, and I would probably recommend these for beginners, like I said, assuming that they want to try a slightly bigger brush pen tip. If a beginner wanted to try their first brush pen, these are not what I would recommend. But for a slightly larger brush pen, then these would work out. Now let's talk about the case of these brush pens. So the case has this kind of slot where you're meant to be able to put this bit in and that seals it, and I can do it, but the plastic is very flimsy, so it's hard to do. Now this is called, I think, an easel wallet. So the idea is that you can prop these up. So let me show you. So you take this bit out of the back and then you wrap it around. Oh, hold on. Well, the point I was going to make anyway is that you could prop it up, and I tried this earlier, and it kind of leans the brush pens like this. Oh, maybe you don't need to tie it in. Oh, excuse the scraping. So you pop them like this, and you can just grab brush pens as and when needed. It's fine. I kind of wonder what the purpose of this is though. Do you really need this, or could you just, oh, it's gone in now that I haven't tried. Or could you just do this? I don't think the easel case is that necessary. And because the case is so flimsy, I would not be keeping this case. I've only kept these in that case because I knew I was going to be doing a video on these. And if the plastic was slightly more rigid, then yes, maybe I could see the reason behind it. Or if these were a bigger pack of brush pens, then again, I could see the reasoning behind it, because you want to be able to easily grab from one selection. But yes, otherwise I don't think the case is super necessary. Let's now move on to colours. So let me work through colour by colour. And something I wanted to point out as well is that I didn't think these pens had colour names, because you can't obviously see them when you look at the pen, but the colour is actually on the back. So this is red, which you might have guessed from looking at it, even though it's a slightly muted red. And they are also dual tipped. So one is a brush pen, obviously, and then one is called an ultra fine tip. Okay, now let's get started with the colours. Let me make sure I am still in focus. Yeah, it seemed to be. I have been caught out by that before when doing videos. Oh, so again, more squeakiness. I'm trying to remember if this is actually just a Mildliner thing, or if it's just a kind of felt tip type problem. Okay, now let's try. Yep. Let's move on to the next colour. I kind of wonder how visible this is for you on camera, this neon orange colour. I personally think it was a mistake for them to include neon colours in their pack. And I'll get more onto that in a minute. Now let's do the fine tip. Okay, yellow. You'd probably guess looking at it that it's another neon colour. Again, it isn't easy to see. So I tried these out before the video so that I could kind of compose my thoughts. And yeah, I tried these out on a dark piece of paper. So I tried them on a black piece of paper, hoping that maybe they would show up on there, and they didn't at all. They were translucent. So unfortunately, I just don't think these serve much of a purpose, because you can't see them. Now let's move on to the green. Do you think the green will be a neon colour? Have a guess. No, it's not. So interestingly, they've included 3 neon colours in this pack, and the green wasn't one of them. I do quite like this colour. Okay. Now on to the next colour. It's kind of bug me if that's not the right way. Right. Now this was my favourite colour from the pack. I'd be interested to know how it shows up on camera. It's a kind of blue, well, it's described as a blue-green colour, but the green is quite mild. It definitely reminds me of kind of a very soft ocean blue-green colour. It's just a really nice colour, and it just reminds me of kind of the summer. Okay, and then we have another blue. There are actually 3 blues in this pack. So there's one described as blue-green, one described as blue, and one described as dark blue, which I will show you in a sec. Okay, now on to quote unquote dark blue. And it isn't really what I would call dark blue. I don't know what I would call it. I mean, it's darker than the others, but it's definitely not a dark blue. I'd almost think it's more of a purple blue, if anything. Now onto purple, which is what I showcased before. I find the small tip quite satisfying to use. Okay, now onto the next colour, and you should remember I mentioned that there were 3 neon colours in this pack. So this is the 3rd neon colour, and it is a neon pink. This one we can actually see, so that's good. This one really feels a lot inkier than the other colours as well. I do think as well that the neon colours seem like a random addition, given that the whole kind of premise of Mildliner is that they are pens in mild, muted colours. So to then include really bright neon colours, it just feels like the opposite of their branding, the opposite of what people expect from them. Okay, so that is the colour range. I have to say I wasn't very impressed when I first tried out these colours. It just feels like a really random mishmash of colours. So we have 3 neon colours, then we have these colours in the middle here, which are nice. These are the ones I like, and they kind of complement each other. But it just feels like a random mishmash. I'm not quite sure why these colours were put together. Something else is that some of these colours look a bit cheap to me, and I think the reason why it looks cheap is that when I'm creating with the brush pen, you get this slight kind of speckled effect on the calligraphy, and I've noticed that before with kind of cheaper brands of brush pen. Essentially, the pens aren't inky enough, they're not opaque enough, so you get this kind of speckled effect, and it's kind of most noticeable on this dark blue colour and on this red colour. Now, it's not the end of the world, it's just something I noticed. Now, whether you want to buy this set of colours is dependent on you. Maybe you'll find a use for neon brush pens, and in that sense, this could be a really unique pack of brush pens. I just remember being quite surprised they were neon colours. I mean, now that I look back, I can see that it says they have fluorescent colours in there, but to me, it just feels really random. Something else to mention is that these pens are water resistant. So if you're someone who likes to blend brush pens to create kind of a watercolor calligraphy style, these probably won't be the best option for you. Now, in terms of rankings, I would probably rank these as 6.5 out of 10. I don't hate them. They were quite user-friendly to use, but the color palette just isn't something that I like. And I do think in terms of other brush pen brands, these are probably one of my lowest in terms of the likelihood that I'll pick them up. The only colours I may go to pick up are this kind of sea blue-green colour and maybe this green colour as well. So this isn't going to be a pack that I'm using regularly, but it has been interesting to try out a different brand of brush pens. So what I would like you to do is comment down below if you have tried these for yourself. Did you like them? Maybe I'm just being harsh and they're just not my cup of tea. Let me know down below, and check out my other brush pen reviews to see if any other brush pens are of interest to you. Bye everyone!